Our final speaker of the day, you may not know his name, but he works absolutely tirelessly to ensure that people like you and people like me get to know how important what we're doing is. He's an amazing man, he works incredibly hard. Please give a very warm welcome to the National Coordinator of the Campaign Against Climate Change, Phil Thornhill.
Thank you all for coming here to support our rally and our message for emergency action here today. All the massive build-up that's gone into the demonstration today, all the demonstrations, and all the extra attention which has been focused on this year's climate talks in Copenhagen, were because this was when we expected to get another binding deal to replace Kyoto. We've been told we're not going to get a binding deal. And in that most important sense, the talks have failed before they started. They failed because of American politics, because Obama hasn't got his climate legislation through the Senate, because the South will not come on board with absolute cuts until they see real action from the US and from the North, because they know that the North overwhelmingly bears the primary responsibility. The only way to unpick this logjam is through real action from the North. What southern countries want from you, Mr. Miliband, is not just lofty rhetoric at Copenhagen, but action here at home. Resolute, speedy, ambitious, spectacular action now. 80% of the Arctic ocean ice by volume has disappeared. This October's figures for ice cover were a record October low. The world around us is changing fast. The scientists are struggling to catch up with it, and the politicians are way behind the scientists. So that even the most unrealistically optimistic evaluation of what is politically possible begins to fall short of what the latest science reveals we need to do. And with each year of emissions reducing opportunity wasted, the scale of what we need to do swells ever more unfeasibly larger. It looks more and more like the race is being lost, and it's the recognition of the unspeakable horror of the consequences of losing this race which drives us all on. It's what has brought us out here on this Saturday morning. We need a different scale, a different speed, another category of response. We need an emergency response. And that doesn't mean just saying it's an emergency. It means bold, resolute, ambitious, spectacular action now. How about 10% reductions by the end of 2010? Let's jack up the targets closer to something that gives the world, the next generation, a real chance. And let's do it now, because it will be worth half as much if we leave it to next year. How about 1 million climate jobs in a year? In the United States in 1941 they turned car factories into tank factories in months. Let's think that scale of economic transformation. Let's think that kind of urgency and common purpose. And let's make beating the recession and fighting climate change the same thing. How about ending the self-defeating insanity of agri-fuels? For sheer inanity and insanity, nothing beats the way Mr. Miliband's Department of Climate Change funds deforestation and the resulting huge emissions by awarding renewable subsidies to agro-fuels. Let's ignore the corporate lobbying and end this madness now. And how about banning domestic flights? How about a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit and scrapping the roads programme? Let's think of all the things we can do now to bring emissions down, and let's act now. Most of the measures I've listed here are in an early day motion already signed by 45 MPs. That really surprised me. I didn't expect so many would sign something that I thought was like politically untouchable. There is a movement building for emergency action on climate in the UK. Let's build it. We can make it real. We can make it a political force, because too many people are realising we don't have any other choice. Let's build it through the coming year. Let's build a movement so strong that we can force governments to act. And then maybe the world will move with us the way it's not going to in Copenhagen. Let's make Copenhagen a live beginning, not a dead end. Let's build the movement for emergency action on climate into next year. Thanks very much.